As we mentioned previously, once the product team has decided to launch their product in a set of languages, they need to design the product so that it will accommodate those languages and their standards. This phase, which happens before localization, is called internationalization. Let's review our definition of internationalization. It's the process of generalizing a product so it can handle multiple languages and cultural conventions. Internationalization happens during software development. Simply put, the product team and its engineers prepare the product so that it's language and region independent. This means that it will easily accommodate all the languages needed. Sometimes in big companies like Google, they get support from a specific internationalization team. In smaller companies, they may rely instead on language service providers or external reference documents and guidelines. Internationalization can be summarized in two main steps. 1. Design and engineering. And 2. Testing. Let's take a look at each of these steps. The first step of internationalization is design and engineering. By these two words, we mean writing the code and designing the layout of a product, a job mainly done by engineers and UI designers. It's crucial to build a flexible product from the very beginning, without assuming by default that the product will be in the original language only. At design stage, the engineers have to pay extra attention to some portions of the UI that, if not designed properly, will cause issues once the product is launched globally. Let's see some examples. Density and fonts. Some fonts are not displayed correctly in all languages. Some languages need larger text size to be readable. For example, traditional Chinese packs a lot of detail into a few characters. That's why, for Chinese characters, engineers generally use font sizes of at least 12 points, so users are able to see everything the character shows. Layout. Layout should adapt to international languages and be flexible. This is why engineers don't do things like write text in images. Otherwise, they'd risk having images left in English, just as you can see here. Colors. Colors are also extremely important and can have different meaning around the world. Red in the US generally means danger or emergency, while it's connected to happiness in China. And white has a neutral meaning in France, while it symbolizes death and purity in India. Generally, teams try to pick a color scheme that's non-offensive in locales where they're launching. In rare cases, the same app will have different color schemes. Spacing. Text expansion, vertical and horizontal, can break a layout or display broken strings. To avoid this, engineers make sure that UI elements that hold text, such as buttons, are designed to expand. If this is not possible, they should state clearly the character limit for the strings, so translators will know how much space they have. Message description. As we mentioned in the content types lesson, text translations benefit a lot from message descriptions to provide context. In an ideal world, every piece of text that's part of a user interface should be accompanied by a description. A clear description helps translators avoid wrong or ambiguous translations. Dates, currencies, units, addresses, and phone numbers. Date and time format can vary from country to country. For example, in the US, the month is written before the day, while in Europe, the day comes first. Engineers who design apps to be launched internationally need to take this problem in consideration at design stage. The same goes for currencies, units of measure, addresses, and phone numbers. So how do they solve these issues? Usually, they store all data in language and country neutral format and manage international differences such as dates, time format, addresses, phone numbers, and currencies using special programming toolkits called internationalization libraries. These libraries include all the localization data about formatting to help them automate the adaptation of the product to international markets. Plurals and genders. Different languages have different grammar rules for plurals and genders. To accommodate them all, engineers use programming toolkits called international components for Unicode. These include libraries that allow the language to automatically adapt depending on the gender and plural rules for the target language, to avoid having to manually do this for all text. Once engineers design their product with all these things in mind, do they send it to be localized? Not just yet. First, they need to test what they've written to be able to fix any issues or errors at source. This is the testing phase, and we'll take a look at that next.